Welcome to the selected ones. The loudest explosion occurs when you stop caring. And make no mistake, they heard it. Let us be brutally honest. Nothing shocks your opponents to the core, like your disinterest, not your clapbacks, receipts, or even your survival. But that terrifying moment when you were utterly silent and they realized, wait, they aren't even mad. Here's a surprising truth that many people are unaware of. The human brain is hardwired to seek closure. Even the baddies desire a reply. But you selected one. You pulled the plug in mid-season. You didn't just walk off the stage. You left the theater, burnt the script, and began a 5-star life someplace else without informing anybody. You did not drop the microphone. You tossed it into another realm. The same people who gossiped, planned, and waited for you to erupt are now suffocating in the quiet you created because you did not just ascend. You ignored their carnival. The greatest aspect was that they saw disregarding them as a weakness. It turned out to be the weapon they were unable to guard against. Welcome to the video. Let's look at why your lack of vengeance isn't just a sign of maturity. It represents the pinnacle of dominance. Let's discuss how you're not only soaring above the chatter. You're striding over it like royalty, ignoring peasants in the dirt. And don't worry, I brought truth, depth receipts, and a dash of petty on the side. Let's go. Number 1. Apathy is an execution, not an escape. When a chosen one stops caring, it does not mean they have given up. It's because they finally recognized the big picture and decided to rise beyond it. Indifference is not a weakness. It is not quiet. It's a full-fledged execution of the previous cycle. The last act concludes the show, not with drama, but with complete disengagement. When you stop caring, it does not imply they haven't injured you. It indicates you refuse to continue fueling the fire they started. You did not go away to be tranquil. You went away because you were tired of tolerating pandemonium that attempted to pass itself off as attention. You didn't just let go of vengeance. You took a risk by letting the repercussions play out on their own. That is what people don't grasp. They believe you're meant to respond. They believe that not retaliating makes you soft. But, in fact, it takes a different kind of inner fortitude to declare you're not worth the harm I'd have to do myself simply to get even. That is not passive. That is spiritual domination, and the crazy part. The instant you stopped caring, you hurt them harder than retribution could. Because vengeance at least lets them know they are still important to you. Indifference indicates that they have formally lost all access. There is no longer power or rent-free room in your thoughts. They are now background noise to your development. You rendered them unimportant by moving forward without them. No warning, no closure. The door crashed shut with elegance and finality. That is what bothers them. Not what you stated, but what you left out. Not how you exposed them, but how you overcame them. You didn't seek vengeance because you understood that the finest punishment for someone who attempted to shatter you was to see you live as if they didn't exist. You did not lose control. You took it back. And that option, that simple, easy decision to care less, that's the most powerful finale they never expected. Number 2, vengeance demonstrates that they affected you. Apathy shows that they couldn't. When you care enough to seek vengeance, it indicates they still own a piece of you. Maybe just a sliver, but it's there. Your energy, time, and mental space. It's still being provided, although in the form of revenge. But when you really stop caring, when they no longer impact you emotionally, psychologically, or spiritually, the true harm is done, not to you, but to them, since they are now yelling into a vacuum that does not respond. They anticipate a battle. They want you to strike out, defend yourself, refute their falsehoods, and respond with fire of your own. That's what fuels their ego. That is what confirms their sense of control. But when you don't respond, when you don't care, it sends a stronger message than any kind of vengeance could. You're no longer important enough to arouse me. That knowledge stings hard. It pushes them to confront what most people spend their whole lives avoiding. They have lost all control over you. There's no power, no control, no access. You are not furious. You are not bitter. You're just finished. And that type of departure does not include pyrotechnics. It arrives with a harsh quiet that resonates. Revenge remains a link, whether individuals accept it or not. It's still dancing with the same monsters you've been attempting to avoid. But disinterest, that is disconnection. That is spiritual disconnecting. That's when you're done explaining yourself. Stop proving anything and let the truth shine through your work. And peace is something they cannot fake or resist. They attempted to harm you. They anticipated a response. Tears, fury, even vengeance. They weren't expecting you to heal, separate, and elevate without putting in any effort. That burns because, although retribution may bruise their ego, apathy is where it fractures. Number 3, rumor need your energy to exist. You starved it to death. Gossip only lives when you feed it. It requires energy, attention, and frequent responses to function. Most individuals make the mistake of attempting to resist it, justifying themselves, arguing with falsehoods, and defending their reputation to people who were never on their side in the first place. This is precisely how rumor hooks you. It draws you into its loop and pushes you to participate in a game you didn't even sign up for. However, when you stop caring, everything starts to die. You did not have to defend yourself since you knew the truth. You didn't need to match their loudness since you saw how empty it was. Gossip cannot exist without fuel, and you reclaimed yours. You ignored it. In doing so, you severed its lifeblood. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. That is understanding the difference between responding and recovering your peace. They remembered your name because your energy was there even when you weren't in the room. They were still feeding off your brightness, attempting to make your narrative nasty since they couldn't match your energy. But you severed the link. You stopped giving them anything to spin, and the quiet made their lives seem desperate. They felt ignoring them would make you seem guilty. What they didn't know was that your silence had exposed them, because the longer you remained silent, the more evident it became that they were enamored with someone who plainly wasn't paying attention to them. And it is humiliating. They continued talking, hoping you'd crack and demonstrate that they still had some kind of control. But you let the chatter die as you continued to develop, heal, and grow. You starved the fire. You stepped aside, and it suffocated on its own smoke. Not caring is not the same as being passive. It is power. It is the kind of force that does not shout or demonstrate itself. It simply is. And by moving on without responding, you ended their small drama with more elegance than any quarrel could. Number 4, you rose to such a high level. The air is too thin for their rumors. They never expected you to go beyond the point where their words could move you. They were used to you being approachable, emotionally open, reactive, and grounded, allowing them to poke, prod, and get a response out of you. But then you changed. You began moving in solitude, mending in secret, and ascending in ways others could not match. Their remarks suddenly ceased to hurt, not because people stopped talking, but because you were no longer in a position where rumor had influence. Their rumors need oxygen to live. Attention, drama, and low-level involvement. But where you're going, the air is different. You've gotten higher. You have grown spiritually, intellectually, and emotionally. You are no longer playing tiny. And gossip cannot thrive at higher heights. It's like attempting to ignite a match on a mountainside. There isn't enough oxygen to keep it burning, so the falsehoods fall flat. Their gloom is consumed by your brightness, and their preconceptions crumble beneath the weight of your elevation. They don't realize that you didn't react because you couldn't hear them anymore. Not because you were unaware, but because your concentration had gone so far forward that looking back made no sense. That is what breaks them, not the quiet, but the reality that you have progressed beyond the version of yourself they were attempting to destroy. They constantly attempting to lure you back into talks you've outgrown. They want you to explain, justify, and return to a position from which you have already graduated. But you are no longer accessible for that. You are not accessible via the old doors. You've moved beyond the absurdity, and they're left grasping for relevance in a place you no longer inhabit. So, no, the rumors did not cease. It had just begun suffocating. Because the higher you got, the less space there was for anything based on falsehoods. That is what occurs when you develop. They are unable to touch you, not because you're hiding, but because they remained low while you learned to soar. Number 5. Revenge follows a linear pattern. Detachment is dimensional. Revenge is easy, predictable. It keeps you stuck in the same time frame as those who harmed you. They harm you, so you hurt them back. They chuck dirt. You throw harder. It's a back and forth cycle that seems strong right now. However, it puts you in the same emotional space where the betrayal occurred. That's the thing with vengeance. It keeps you linked to the suffering, the people, and the version of yourself that was required to make a point. In contrast, detachment does not imply just walking away. It is stepping out of the system. It's abandoning the game entirely. You don't need to outwit, speak, or fight anybody because you understand that the true flex is not having to play at all. Detachment is dimensional. It is not reactive. It is transforming. It transports you to a place where your peace serves as a shield and your stillness becomes a frequency they cannot penetrate. When you disconnect, you are not stating, "I don't care what happens." You're suggesting, "I'm too concerned about where I'm going to carry what occurred to me." You are no longer interested in repeating lessons you have already learned. That is what elevates you, not your ability to get even, but your ability to evolve beyond the version of yourself who ever contemplated it. They want you to be engrossed in the drama, the plot, and the emotional upheaval they've produced. That's where they feel strong. However, when you unhook, you take the batteries from their illusion. Stop fueling the narrative. You do not offer them your words, attention, or energy. And in that silent detachment, you reclaim every ounce of power they believed they possessed. Revenge may feel wonderful in the moment, but separation fosters long-term tranquility. It's not only healing. It's called evolution. You aren't dodging the battle. You are rising above it. And this height is not a weakness. It is mastery. 6th, they didn't expect you to make it without scorching them back. They always anticipated some kind of vengeance. Not because you are spiteful by nature, but because they understood what they had done to you merited repercussions. They were prepared for the backlash. They prepared for the day you would eventually erupt. Call them out, drag them, or reveal their falsehoods in a perverse manner. They embraced this since it would have given them a sense of justice. Like the villain they portrayed was merely reacting to your fire. They never anticipated you to refuse to interact at all. You survived, but not as they had anticipated. You didn't come out swinging. You did not collect receipts or wage war. You did something far more risky. You healed softly, fully, and with no desire to carry them with you or leave a mark. That is what shook them. Survival is one thing. They knew you were powerful, yet you rose without vengeance, prospering without drama. That is what exposes them, and you say nothing about it. When someone attempts to destroy you, but you choose peace, it mirrors everything they are not. Your stillness highlights their disarray. Your position makes their pettiness obvious. Your absence of bitterness sheds light on their poison. You didn't even have to give your side of the story for others to notice it. They misjudged the impact of quiet, especially when it comes from someone who should have sounded the alarm. They believed concealing your truth would mute your power, but it just heightened your presence. You did not need to set anything on fire. Your tranquility made the contrast intolerable. It revealed who was really injured and who caused the injury. They were not terrified of your wrath. They were worried about your development. Because when you outgrow individuals without punishing them, they are forced to confront themselves. And deep down, they knew you'd leave them with no mess, drama, or devastation. Just grace was the kind of punishment their ego could never recover from. Number 7, you were not silent. They just couldn't weaponize your serenity. They told everyone you were quiet, afraid, and didn't speak out because you had anything to conceal. But what they couldn't speak out and secretly dreaded was the truth. You remained calm because you were done. Not weak, not confused, just finished. Your quietness was not a pause. It was a border. You were saying without speaking, "I no longer interact with turmoil masquerading as connection." They were used to people responding. They've become used to the yelling, defending, and arguing that provided them with a platform to twist things around. But you did not offer them that. You did not perform. And it made you dangerous because if they can't provoke you, they can't control the narrative. When they can't pull you into the mud, they're left standing there alone. They were unable to manage your item since it was not performative. Fear was not the reason for the quiet. It was about discipline. You were standing in the center of a storm, your soul unshaken, watching others attempt to generate drama in a location where you had already evacuated your energy. That stillness made them suspicious, since the noisy ones usually believe silence is a tactic. And in your case, it was not to attack, but to defend what you had constructed inside. They couldn't weaponize your serenity since it didn't stem from ego. It stemmed from clarity. You were not attempting to seem strong. You were really strong. And that type of calm motivates unstable individuals. Wild. They begin to reveal themselves, attempting to provoke you. They disintegrate because they can't comprehend how someone they sought to shatter has become so unaffected, untouchable, and light. They needed your voice, response, and evidence. But you just offered them your absence. And that was the one thing they hadn't planned for. You healing in plain sight without raising your voice. They couldn't shake your composure. So they're suffocating on their own loudness. Number 8. You did not just walk over the rumor. You made it unimportant. They believed gossip would destroy you, that their little circle of murmurs, half-truths, and blatant falsehoods would imprison you in a story from which you could not escape. But they didn't expect your progress to be louder than their rumors. You did not just pretend not to hear them. You moved away from the whole room. You didn't answer since you weren't on the same frequency anymore. You were not quiet. You were gone. They anticipated drama. They anticipated a response. That is how gossip survives. The strain of defensiveness, the sight of someone attempting to clean up a problem they did not make. But you didn't contribute to it. You did not come there to defend yourself in front of individuals who were already predisposed to misinterpreting you. You left them with their audience and went on to create something they couldn't understand. And when you opted to develop rather than interact, their narrative began to come apart. You rendered their chatter obsolete, not by rejecting it, but by moving so far beyond it that even those who had enjoyed it started to doubt their motivations. Your change reduced their drama to noise from a bygone period while they were busy pressing repeat. You were out here resetting your thinking, space, and purpose. You made them appear ridiculous without ever mentioning their names, and nothing humbles a liar quicker than the person they attempted to malign. Rising with no animosity, baggage, or collapse. Just peace, growth, and purpose. You did not extinguish their chatter. You just made it too little to exist in the new environment you entered. That's what strikes the hardest. You did not compete. You outpaced. You did not fight back. You achieved a higher level. And now they're stuck repeating the same boring drama while your life continues to develop in ways their tales cannot describe. That's not just winning. That is redefining the game. Number 9. They intended to cast you as the villain, but you thwarted their scheme. They came prepared with a screenplay and placed you as the villain before the first scene even began. Their tales were well-rehearsed and polished, ready to trap you in a position that exactly suited their objective. They didn't expect you to refuse to take the stage. However, you did not fall for their bait. You did not respond as they expected. And that single performance just did not play the role they were unable to manage. By removing your participation from their storyline, you removed their ability to control the narrative. Their meticulously built drama was based on your response, rage, and defense. Without it, their plot devolved into nothing but frantic noise. They were left standing alone, playing out scenarios that no one believed anymore. It was like seeing clowns perform a circus show after the crowd had moved away. Without your involvement, the show lost its purpose. Their efforts to demonize you failed because you refused to validate their version of the reality. You showed them that you are not a character in their tale. You are the creator of your own work. When the audience discovers the drama was made up, the performers are revealed as nothing more than attention seekers seeking to remain relevant. You didn't just endure their story. You undermined it by removing your power and presence. They required your anguish, outrage, and guilt to keep their illusion alive. However, by turning aside, you transformed their drama into a ghost narrative, something spoken about but never seen. They now perform for empty chairs, following a script that no longer carries any meaning. What hurts the most isn't that they attempted to make you the villain. It's that you never gave them a chance. You thwarted their scheme, left them with a lifeless performance, and went away unconcerned. That is the ultimate defeat. And they're the ones left looking stupid in a spectacle that no one wanted to watch. Number 10. Your indifferent demeanor reflected their uneasiness. When you stopped responding, something significant occurred. You stopped fueling their instability and instead became a mirror, reflecting all they badly needed to conceal. They have uncertainties, worries, and deep-seated wounds. They all appeared in your quiet, casting a spotlight on their own brokenness. But here's a twist. You never had to say anything or throw a punch. Your apathy performed the job for you by not participating. You denied them the opportunity to distort your responses into something negative. They had no hook, spark, or gasoline to fire their stories. Instead, they were forced to look at themselves in the mirror you held up, without judgment or revenge. And mirrors do not lie. They reveal the fissures, shadows, and individual components. People are frequently buried deeply. That reflection made them uneasy. Not because you did anything to harm them, but because they saw aspects of themselves they never wanted to see. Flaws they attempted to conceal by projecting them upon you. Your quiet became their upheaval, and your serenity their discontent. The more they attempted to bring you down, the more evident it became that the true war was taking place inside their own heads. Your disinterest was not apathy. It was power masquerading as serenity. It was a reluctance to be drawn into a conflict that did not belong to you. That rejection made you untouchable, but also inadvertently harsh. Because sometimes the sharpest truth is revealed via quiet rather than words. And the most effective weapon is not vengeance, but thought. You did not shatter them with assaults. You shattered the illusion by refusing to play their game. You held up the mirror, and in their distress, they revealed their own decay. That's the true power of indifference. It's not a case of not caring. It is about forcing people to face what they do not want to see without saying a single word. A number. You are the receipt. They cannot shred. You are live evidence that they badly desired did not exist. No matter how many tales they tell or how many falsehoods they create to distort the truth, you remain unshaken. A living contradiction to everything they want to see destroyed. They can shred documents, erase messages, and delete emails, but they cannot erase you. Your entire existence is the receipt that they cannot burn. You didn't have to fight wars or scream your truth from the rooftops to demonstrate your value, calm, prosperity, and quiet resilience. All of this speaks louder than any charge or rumor. Every day, you show up entire, stronger, and unharmed. You're delivering a message that they can't ignore. They failed spectacularly. This receipt is neither a piece of paper or an electronic evidence. It's the life you lead, the calm confidence you exude, the progress you accomplish, and the happiness they believe they took. But you reclaimed. It's a quiet audit that weighs their deceit against your unmistakable truth. And since you didn't spend time defending yourself, you never gave them the motivation to change the script. They attempt to hide the truth under layers of rumor and falsehoods. But receipts do not lie. You can't wrap yourself up in a tidy little tale for them to tear. You are irrefutable proof that what they attempted to destroy merely got stronger. Your presence serves as a continual reminder that while they squandered energy ripping down, you worked hard to construct. Finally, the most compelling comment is not among the cacophony or rebuttals. It is part of your existence. You are the receipt they are anxious to destroy. However, no shredder on earth is powerful enough to cut through the reality of who you are. Not caring was how you recovered your timeline. They were caught up in the smallest details, weaving their narrative and attempting to catch you in a state of agony or emotion. You were doing something far more powerful. You were regaining your whole timeline. Not caring is more than just avoiding the noise. It's about refusing to allow others write your tale or determine your destiny. It's a purposeful decision to move beyond their drama and live on your own terms, resulting in decades of progress while they remain caught in the past. Their fixation on the present, the pain, the insult, the rumor is a trap. It freezes them in time, replaying the same situations, recreating the same tensions, and pulling people into that impasse. But your separation, it's as if you constructed a time machine. You did not spend time rewinding or stopping their renditions of the narrative. Instead, you fast forward to a point when their noise no longer exists. By not caring, you were not surrendering or giving up. You were lifting yourself to a higher level, and their efforts to drag you down were futile. Their drama is like an old replay stuck on repeat for them. But you've already changed the channel. You've entered a world in which your tranquility, progress, and success render their petty efforts unimportant. This is not only emotional maturity, it is strategic development. You seized control of your story by refusing to participate in that chronology. While they squander time attempting to trap you in situations that do not benefit you, you're busy creating a life that will endure beyond their tales. You transform detachment into a type of time travel, fleeing the past, evading their traps, and entering a future they cannot reach. They're trapped viewing the same episodes from your life. They want to revise, but you've moved on to the next chapters. That is the ultimate power. Not only surviving their turmoil, but transcending it and claiming your timeline as the unstoppable force you are. A number. You chose evolution above engagement. You had every motive to intervene, fight back, protect yourself, and show them incorrect. The world almost anticipated it, but you made a different decision. Rather of fueling the flames, you chose evolution. That isn't weakness or avoidance. Most people never achieve this degree of authority. Real power isn't about clapping harder or sharper. It's about converting the energy that would normally bring you down into fuel that would drive you upward. When people curse you, they want to see you fall or fight back. They want you stuck in the same destructive loop because it keeps them relevant and in power. But you did not accept the bait. You refused to play a part in their petty narrative. Instead, you became the architect of your own development, silently transforming their hostility into lessons. Their insults become inspiration, and their uncertainty becomes evidence of your perseverance. Choosing evolution over engagement means leaving the battlefield and entering a new arena where your progress renders their clamor useless. You did not spend time justifying yourself or bringing them down to your level. You invested in yourself, and it paid off in ways that words never could. People now wonder how you managed to weather such storms without losing yourself. How did you transform their curses into stepping stones? That mystery represents your strength. It disturbs people who anticipated drama since it demonstrates a strength beyond response. A strength that does not need approval or vengeance. You changed the rules by refusing to follow theirs. That option to pursue improvement rather than hold grudges. Transcendence rather than tantrums distinguishes the genuinely strong from the others. You did not just withstand the turmoil. You grew above it, leaving everyone else to wonder what happened as you quietly controlled your own world. A number. Your apathy is a language that only the spiritually free can speak. Most individuals respond to betrayal and turmoil with outbursts, yelling, arguing, explaining, and attempting to establish their value or innocence. It is human nature to interact, fight back, and make their voice known loud and clear. But you operate at a whole other frequency. Your apathy is neither stupidity nor weakness. It is a deep language spoken exclusively by people who are spiritually liberated, those who recognize that they do not have to fight every conflict. You didn't care since your soul was rooted in something much greater than little disagreements or transitory beliefs. Your roots are in destiny, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to your truth. When diversions and betrayals arose, you did not spend valuable energy becoming entangled in the cacophony. That was not quiet caused by fear or uncertainty. This was holy separation. It was a deliberate decision to rise above, safeguard your energy, and respect the larger path put out before you. This type of apathy is neither empty nor hollow. It's deep and full of significance. It's a vibe that says, I'm past this. I am too whole to be shattered by your drama. That resonance resonates louder than any argument or reply. It disturbs people who thrive in turmoil because they know they can't reach you there. Your spirit's frequency is tuned for serenity, progress, and destiny, and this makes you untouchable. When you choose indifference, you do not turn your back on the world. You are embracing a greater state of being. You speak a language of liberation, a frequency that can only be comprehended by others who have traveled the same spiritual journey. This is why your dissociation is more than simply a response. It is a statement. Nothing in the pandemonium around you can take away your spiritual freedom. In a society that continually demands response, where drama is money and chaos is the loudest voice, choosing not to care is the most powerful act of defiance. It is not about turning off or giving up. It is about reaching to a level where little distractions cannot reach you. The selected ones have a thorough understanding of this. Indifference isn't indifference, it's holy power. It is the rejection to allow others to dictate your tale or determine your value. It is the choice to walk away from the cacophony and into a realm where your peace is unstoppable. Your progress is inexorable, and your future is impenetrable. This journey is not easy. It needs strength that extends beyond muscle or intellect. An inner fortification crafted from the raw materials of experience, resilience, and unshakable faith in something bigger than the drama unfolding around you. When you take this route, you become a living contradiction to all the expectations imposed on you. They want you to be furious, reactive, or broken, but you remain calm, focused, and unshakable. You don't just withstand their efforts to bring you down. You soar above them with elegance, rendering their assaults unimportant. Your apathy is not empty. It's a force field. It reflects their vulnerabilities back at them, exposing the flaws in their armor and depriving their narratives of the fuel they need. By selecting evolution over interaction, you completely rewrite the laws of the game. You refuse to be a role in their drama, instead taking control of your fate. This strength, this holy detachment, is the ultimate type of triumph, one so deep that it demolishes drama with no words or retribution. So keep pursuing that higher route, and avoid the chatter that attempts to trip you up, because not caring allows you to regain your time, energy, and tranquility. You become unshakable evidence that genuine strength is measured not by how loudly you fight back, but by how elegantly you overcome. This is the heritage of the chosen ones, the irresistible force of apathy transformed into power, a quiet storm that affects everything without anybody noticing. This is your win. This is your truth. Own it. Whether this message resonated to you, whether it ignited a fire or provided clarity on your road, don't keep it to yourself. Hit it. Click the subscribe button to join the community where we can soar above the noise together. Like this video to demonstrate your commitment to progress. Leave a comment below. Share your tale, ideas, or just tell us how you deal with gossip in your life. Also, don't forget to share this with someone who needs to hear it. The more we boost each other up, the stronger we become. Stay powerful and unstoppable. I will see you in the future video. God bless.